The big exit for Manchester United this summer is Alejandro Garnacho. That's the exit that's going to bring in a nice amount of money. That's the exit that's going to be bringing in pure profit and will have a big impact on our transfer window. But there hasn't been much movement in regards to Garnacho. But could the movement be beginning? When one club makes their move, many others could follow, with Tottenham, Chelsea and Villa all having confirmed interest in Garnacho, who we know, because it's been reported a million gazillion times, wants to stay in the Premier League. We're going to talk about the latest on that. There is rumours and talk of him even being involved in a swap deal with Nicholas Jackson going the other way, which is something I definitely don't want to see. But we're going to talk about that. But interestingly, the Mbeumo Medical was set. So we got told 3, maybe 4 weeks ago now, it feels like it's been so long, that the agreement was basically almost done with Mbeumo. There was basically an agreement there pending the final details, and his medical was set for next week. And we had 3 or 4 sources come out and say this, and 2 or 3 of these sources were well connected to United. They're genuine sources at Manchester United, and they were actually good sources of information telling us Mbeumo's medical was next week, which is the most disappointing thing, because these were some of the more trustworthy sources telling us something that didn't turn out to be true. But actually, it's coming out now that Manchester United were very close to getting Mbeumo after that second bid, and there was a feeling that the medical was going to be the following week, and Man United were planning for that medical in regards to Mbeumo. That actually was a medical set. Like, what is being said on that? What is being suggested? Was there a medical? Was there plans for a medical? Obviously, there wasn't a medical, sorry, but Man United were planning for a medical. Good updates on Ollie Watkins, the striker situation, Nicholas Jackson. More reports coming out from Italy on Jadon Sancho's move to Juventus, which is so weird because we're getting like 100 reports from Italy about Sancho and Juventus, but we're not really getting anything from our sources, from the Man United side of things. And Ramona does confirm, Tolisso has been offered to Manchester United, and we do need a midfielder. So, hello, and welcome back to Alice Talks Football. Welcome back to your 10-minute news, Manchester United news and transfer news roundup. Well, we round up all the latest news. Absolutely messed up that intro. We round up all the latest news in 10 minutes in regards to transfers and other stories. Let's get into the video, but if you do enjoy, feel free to hit that like button and of course subscribe if you're new. So, Ramona said on Garnacho, Chelsea, from what I'm hearing, could have one more addition up front. The name Garnacho remains one of the options. We know from Fabrizio Romano, we know from The Athletic, we know from every credible source, Garnacho is still on Chelsea's list. He's been on their list since January. He's still on the list. They've sold Madueke. They've won the Club World Cup, and he's very much still on that list. And maybe Chelsea could be making their move for Alejandro Garnacho, because for Garnacho to reject Bayer Leverkusen and options outside the Premier League, he must be pretty confident that a Premier League club is going to come and sign him up this summer. Now, Chelsea isn't the only club. Aston Villa are considering a move for Garnacho, and Chelsea and Tottenham have been monitoring his situation, according to Chris Wheeler. Now, I'm going to say something on Garnacho here, and this is sort of my theory on the situation, but I feel like every club is waiting for someone to make the first move. Basically, what I think the situation is on Alejandro Garnacho is there's a few clubs in for him. Like, he's available for a good price when you're looking at the price of Madueke, Elanga, Gittins in the market. He's a good young player. They know he's going to leave United. But I feel like the clubs that they're interested in are waiting for someone to make a move. They're waiting for that first bid to look at the price, see if they can match that. I honestly think when we get a big advancement on Garnacho, like Chelsea set to make a bid, or Spurs set to make a bid, or Villa set to make a bid, I think all of a sudden there'll be quite a bit of interest there. I think they're waiting for that first person to make a move in regards to Garnacho. I'm convinced that maybe Chelsea are going to make a move and Villa will then make a bid. I'm convinced once someone makes the move for Garnacho, other clubs will go in. Like, there is interest in Garnacho. Like, obviously, it's annoying that we haven't sold anyone, but there is interest in Garnacho. The worry for me isn't selling Garnacho. I think we can sell Garnacho, but it is making sure we get like 60 million for Garnacho, because if Madueke is over 50 million and Chelsea are in for Garnacho, then we should be demanding 60 million, 70 million, if we're looking at it that way. And like, I don't think he was a 60, 70 million player, but then when you look at Elanga and you look at the price tags, my only worry is that we sell him on the cheap. I think we can get a bit of money for him. But Chelsea are there, Villa are there, Tottenham are there. I think we could get a move from one of these clubs soon. And I think when one club makes the move, many will. And I think we could potentially get a bit of a bidding war. When the first bid comes in, I think other teams will make their move. But this is one thing I don't want to see. So there is talk of Chelsea and Manchester United potentially doing a Garnacho Jackson switch as the club aim to raise funds. United are eyeing Jackson. There's about 6 or 7 sources that said we have interest in Nicholas Jackson, but there hasn't been a bid. But apparently the interest is strong. So we've had 6 or 7 sources now confirm that Manchester United have strong interest in Nicholas Jackson. Now, Romano or Ornstein has not confirmed that, and Romano has confirmed there is interest in Jackson, but I don't think he's named Manchester United as of yet. I don't want Nicholas Jackson. I think he's better than people give him credit for online, but I don't want him. I don't like him. I think with the red cards, he's quite rash. We don't need another kind of player like that. But in regards to Nicholas Jackson and Garnacho swap deal, I can see it happening. Yes. Do I want it to happen? No. I want the pure profit money in for Garnacho, and I'd rather it go on Ollie Watkins. And talking of Ollie Watkins, we will talk about that in a second because there is some interest there. But we've got to talk about this story and news coming in on Bryan Mbeumo. So Jamie Jackson had a long report come out, and this is a few of the things he sort of mentioned. He said at the end of June, United believed that 65 million would allow them to land Bryan Mbeumo. And this is the interesting thing, with a medical expected soon being communicated privately. It was communicated privately from a source that I spoke to that got some Mbeumo news that his medical was next week. Like, that's the mad thing. Man United believed after that third bid of 60 million that it was going to be accepted and had privately communicated within the club of a medical being scheduled or set for the next week. Brentford have now since raised their asking price for 70 million because they've looked at Alanga, Gittins, Madueke, the price of that. And when you look at Mbeumo last season compared to those other players, you can't really blame Brentford despite it being annoying. But Ratcliffe is the guy that, is saving as much money as he can by slashing, the Christmas party and the Christmas gifts and stuff. So of course, Ratcliffe is refusing to go above that 65 million valuation. So, that's what's stalling the situation. But it's interestingly mentioned about a potential medical basically being planned. So there probably was plans for a medical. And I think those reporters that put out a medical was next week maybe weren't completely wrong. I think they jumped the gun. But that was what was being communicated inside United. It did say a higher bid may depend on sales or loans for players like Rashford, Garnacho, Anthony, or Malacia. They're the 5 players that Manchester United want out. They don't want on tour. Nothing's happened yet, but I do think sales of those players will give us funds to do more in the window. But I thought that was interesting. And Alex Crook, I think it was Alex Crook and Ben Jacobs who also said there was an Mbeumo medical. Alex Crook was one of the reporters that came out and I think said there was an Mbeumo medical expected next week. I think it was him. I don't know for sure. And he said 3 weeks ago, United believed they were close to reaching an agreement with Brentford. Sources even suggesting the medical was expected to take place. So this report that came out 3 weeks ago, with the agreement basically almost being done and close to the medical for the next week being planned, United was putting that out to their journalists because that's what United thought at the time. And then Brentford rejected the bid and said they wanted 70 million. So clearly United were close. But the problem is, since then, Ornstein said we've made no progress. Since Brentford since we put in that bid, we've not made any progress on Mbeumo, and that's the worrying thing. So let's get into some stories on other players in just a second. But Romano did add that Man United's plan is to have Mbeumo for pre-season tour. They want him before pre-season tour, and we know that from a million different sources. But I'm going to get into the Watkins news. So this was coming out via Give Me Sport that Ollie Watkins would be open to joining Manchester United if we made an offer for him. They said that United are obviously open to strengthening their attacking options this summer with a new number 9 seen as a priority signing. But there is reports coming out that obviously Manchester United, Ollie Watkins, there has been a few rumours. Laurie Whitwell, who's a good journalist, has linked us to Laurie Whitwell, so there was some interest there. And it's now being reported that Watkins would be open to a move. It is believed that Watkins is open to a Manchester United move if we did make a move for him. Although there's a suggestion that he would cost around 50 million. I don't know if Manchester United are in a position where they want to spend 50 million on a striker, but if Nicholas Jackson's 50 million, Ollie Watkins is 50 million, I don't really care about how much younger Nicholas Jackson is. I would go for Ollie Watkins, and apparently he's open to joining the club, so that could be one to keep an eye on, but it has come from Give Me Sport. But I would really like Watkins in, and I think if Garnacho is sold, the funds could be there for that. But yeah, last but not least, actually, there's some Taliso stories. There is more reports coming out about Sancho's agent being in Turin, being a 15 million deal with Juventus. Man United have obviously pretty much offered to pay him to leave, and there is now talk saying that a medical for Sancho to Juventus could be sorted by the end of the week. This is like the fourth time we've had sources from Italy say a medical for Sancho is soon. He's accepted this with Juventus. Juventus have to do with this for basically no updates to happen with Sancho. His agent is in talks in Turin with Juventus. Apparently Juventus want him on top of Cancel, so it could still happen. But I feel like until we get an update from Romano or Ornstein, I think a lot of this Sancho news is just getting hard to believe now because of how much we've been told on Sancho that hasn't happened in the last month. But yes, last but not least, we also have some updates on quarantine Tolisso. Fabrizio Romano said that Tolisso has been offered to United. He's among several players proposed to United in recent weeks. I think every agent with a striker or centre mid on the market is offering them to Man United because they know Man United need what they can get. I don't think we'll make a move for Tolisso, but there's no shock in my mind. There's no shock that we've been offered him. But anyway, that is your news roundup. Let me know your thoughts down below. Thank you for watching. Bye.